The wait is over. Your San Antonio Spurs and Minnesota Timberwolves get things going tonight for Game 1, Western Conference Semis. Let's preview the matchup. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Spurs In Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. You got Pocket Cast, Amazon Podcast. The list goes on and on. Go subscribe right now on YouTube. Seriously, pick a spot. We are there. Don't forget about the Substack, Spurs In Focus Substack, completely free. Just Google it. Go to Substack, hit subscribe, and you're in. You're part of the crew. My name is Jeff Garcia, your host, longtime Spurs writer in San Antonio. By the way, before I forget, not only is it game day, it's a very special day for me. It is freaking May the 4th be with you. Yes, it's Star Wars Day. Might see a lot of puns and references mentioned about Star Wars in this episode. Are you shocked? Seriously, nobody should be shocked I'll be doing that. Nevertheless, yes, the wait is over. Yeah, the Wolves, Spurs, they get to get things going tonight at the Frost. We're going to look at the matchups, give our predictions, player to watch, stats to watch, keys to victory. The list goes on and on. How did the Spurs get here? We're going to go into that. Even a very, very important injury report on the Minnesota side. Seems Minnesota did a little, I don't know, shenanigans maybe before the start tonight. We're going to talk about that and more. Let's bring in our guest. Well, he is part of the Empire. He is the one, the only Lord of the Sith himself, Rudy Campos of the Sports Answer. Welcome back, Rudy. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, Jeff. Yeah, I am the Sith leader. Well, actually, not the Sith leader. What's higher than the Empire? I mean, I can't remember. What is it?
I don't know. I think it's just, I guess, you're the Emperor, like Palpatine.
You know, I wouldn't want to be Palpatine. I would be with one guy that I grew up loving, and that's Boba Fett. I'd be a bounty hunter.
You know what? I propose this to you, Rudy.
Okay.
Why would nobody want to be Jabba? Think about it.
Well, it'd be the 250 pounds ago, I would have easily been Jabba because that's all I would probably qualify.
But listen. You have tons of cash.
Okay.
You're feared. You're respected. You command bounty hunters. You have a pet monster underneath your seat. You have the women. You got women. You got your own band. You got your own yacht.
Okay.
You get a droid that services you all the time. You have a translator droid for you. And guess what? You got a bunch of muscled up pigs as your guards. Why is that a bad deal?
It's not a bad deal, but I mean...
So you're fat, but...
Yeah, it's like... I mean, if you're going to pick a character, I mean, why you want to get the big fat guy? I mean... I don't know. I couldn't do it, man. Maybe the money, but I mean, if you think about it, bounty hunters make a lot of money anyway. So
that's true.
And they don't have to report to anybody. They don't have any types of stress or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah. Hey, I warned you, everybody. You're going to see a lot of Star Wars puns on this episode. But we're going to obviously focus on the main event, and that is Spurs-Wolves Game 1. West Semi starts tonight at the Frost. A late game, 8:30. Get ready. Stay up a little late. But nevertheless, should be a good one. Rudy, how did we get here? So the Spurs beat the Blazers in 5 games, a gentleman's sweep. A little rocky in the 2 games out in Portland. Nevertheless, the Spurs were able to rally from deficits. Yes, you heard that right, deficits. And the game-clinching series win. They took care of business, just waxed the floor with Portland. We're here. One thing I like about the road to the semis is that they were relatively injury-free. Nobody got hurt except for that big scare with Wemby and the concussion, but he was able to bounce back and be a force to close out the series. And so that is how the Spurs got here. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got here by beating Rudy's Denver Nuggets. I know. Rudy had them beating Denver 4-2, closed them out at 6 games. They did it largely without Anthony Edwards to close out the series. More on him later. We're actually coming up next because that's kind of like the big headline right now. But that's how the Wolves got to San Antonio. And I think we need to start off with the injury report because the Wolves, well, they did something to us. Quickly first, though, for the Spurs, Carter Bryant, as of this recording, is questionable for tonight's Spurs-Wolves game. So keep that in mind. But more importantly, out of nowhere, Rudy, the Wolf says that Anthony Edwards, yes, the guy that looked like he hyperextended his knee, ended up being a left knee bruise. He was expected to be out for weeks, possibly returning in game 3. Rudy, they listed him last night as questionable, 50-50 shot he will play. Does that change everything about the series starting in game 1, if he does play?
No, not at all. And I really think it might be just more of a ploy. Minnesota saying, hey, he's upgraded to questionable, knowing that probably he's more doubtful than anything. If Anthony Edwards does play, honestly, it doesn't really change any type of scenario. I mean, again, regular season wise, the Minnesota Timberwolves did beat, San Antonio Spurs 2 out of 3 games, but I don't think it changed anything because you got to remember he hyperextended that knee and he's not going to be 100% if he comes back. I don't anticipate him coming back only because it is a several week type of injury. You're basically, rolling out the red carpet for maybe an even serious injury in these playoffs. So I think game 1, I think he might be out. Game 2, I think he's more questionable to be there. But it doesn't change anything, man. San Antonio, the way that they played against Portland, like I said, it was kind of a wake-up call against Portland. And their guard play is going to make it tough for Anthony Edwards. So either way, if he plays or not, it's going to be tough for him. But regardless, I don't think they're going to rush him back like that, especially in game 1. If we're talking game 5 and game 6, I'd probably expect him to play. He won't pull a KD and sit out. He would play.
Yeah, he will play, yeah. If Anthony does play tonight in game 1, he definitely puts it on San Antonio. In his last 5 games, Mr. Campos and the rest of everybody watching right now, he's nearly averaging 30 points a game, 29.8 points per game, 4.0 rebounds, 3.8 assists. In the last 5 games versus the Spurs, he loves playing against the Silver and Black. He will be a headache at full power. But going back to what's leading off this show with the injury report, especially for Minnesota side, I did not see that coming at all. I really thought it was going to be out. Like, I agree with you. I think maybe he would have been listed as doubtful for game 2 as even a little glimmer of hope. But leading up to tonight's game, there was already video of him at practice. There was video of him shooting around. He was taking shots from, just stupid shots from long distance range in practice. But even Minnesota's coach Finch said he didn't know when he was coming back. Edwards, that is. He said, well, he's week to week. The other guy, I can't pronounce his name. Help me out here. Daisumo or Daisumo. Thank you very much. He is also questionable for tonight's game, and he could be a problem because he had that game of the night for his career versus Denver.
Man, yeah. He had a career night, and I remember I told Derek Irvin, a good friend of ours, Derek Irvin, that I said he won't have another game. It reminded me a lot of Scoot Henderson's 30-point game against the Spurs. He got hot. He got red hot. Put up 40 points against Denver, and I didn't really expect him to do that, especially against San Antonio. It's kind of one of those, this is your playoff moment type of thing. So don't get me wrong. He can score. He can really play the game of basketball. I respect the hell out of his game, but I couldn't see him get another 40 pieces, maybe not even a 30 piece against San Antonio.
Yes, Spurs defense is a lot better than Denver's defense. So the Spurs will definitely they'll put the clamps on him quickly. But we had to lead off with that big story come out of the Minnesota camp. Edwards is 50-50 shot for him to play tonight. Questionable, not out, questionable. So we'll see. But talking about these two teams here, and we're looking at. I'll start off with the Minnesota side here and look at their stats through 6 games, in the playoffs. And they're putting up some good numbers. Averaging 112 points per game, good for 4th in the NBA playoffs. Assists, 26 total assists so far. That's good for 2nd in the NBA postseason. But when it comes to 2-point makes in the NBA playoffs, they're number 1 in the NBA right now at 31.3 2-point make. So there can be a problem inside that 3-point line. But outside of that, Rudy, may I share with you my keys to the game? All right, there you have it. Those are my keys to the game. Let's start with control the boards. Now, why do I bring that up? Well, because Minnesota speaking of what they're doing in the postseason, when it goes to rebounding, they definitely can obviously clean the glass. They got Rudy Gobert, they got Naz Reid, they got big boys there. But if we're looking at how many rebounds per game, I got it right here. Well, there's 6 in offensive rebounding in the NBA postseason, second in NBA postseason in defensive rebounding at 35.2. Good for first overall at 47.2. They live by those reboundings, those second chance opportunities. That leads me to point number 2. Watch for Minnesota's second chance opportunities. Why? Because they have scored 15 second chance points, good for 8th in the NBA. 15, actually about 15 per game, I should say, not 15 total. 15 second chance points per game. Again, good for 8th in the NBA postseason. And then finally, Mr. Campos, you see on your screen there, no more halftime deficits. That's the big lesson we learned in that first series versus Portland. You can get away with that versus the Blazers. You're not going to be able to get away with that probably against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Your thoughts on my keys to the game one?
Absolutely. Controlling the boards. I think Minnesota out-rebounded the Spurs in their 3 meetings this season, 2 games to 1. That's got to be important to keep Gobert off the boards. Now, you got to remember, I believe in the game that the San Antonio Spurs got out-rebounded, Victor was out that game, so Cornette started. Victor in the lineup is going to be able to keep Gobert off the boards. So I think the rebounding battle should be won by San Antonio. Their guards tend to rebound a lot better than most other guards do in the league. So I do agree with number 1, number 2, the second, minimize the second chance points. Similar to what we talked about with Portland. Portland was number 1 in the season on second chance opportunities. San Antonio, they got beat. They got beat by that bug for a little while there in some of those games, made to a larger deficit for them to overcome. They soon found out you had to minimize those second chances. Another great key for them going into Minnesota, Gobert, Julius Randle, Naz Reid. These guys are going to crash the boards. Don't forget Jaden McDaniels, real feisty player. He can crash the boards as well, make it tough for San Antonio. And then number 3, the halftime deficit. It's something that I screamed at a lot on Friday with Derek when I told him the thing that they got to understand is that they can't go into Minnesota series down 15, 16, 17 points because there's no comebacks from that. Minnesota is not Portland. Minnesota is going for their 3rd straight Western Conference final appearance. So they know what it takes to win. They've got a team mentality. They've got a great team out there. If they're up by 12, I'd say 12, 13 points, it's really a massive deficit for San Antonio to bounce back from. Spurs are going to have to not come out flat, and I'm talking probably in the first half. I fully expect them to get out and run, make it tough for Minnesota to start the game. If they're down by 15, 16, like you said, in that coming out of halftime, it's going to be super difficult for them to come back because not only does Minnesota keep their foot on the gas, they also defend just as well as San Antonio. So those are 3 great keys right there. All 3 of them, Spurs are able to hit them. They're going to win this series.
Absolutely. All right. Those are my key numbers, things to look out for. But what about Mr. Campos? What are his key stats?
Yeah, so one key stat for me is going to be they've got to control the perimeter. When I say that, Minnesota in those 3 games was shooting right around 41% from 3-point range. Once they get going, knocking down that 3 ball, Naz Reid, Julius Randle can knock it down. Obviously, Anthony Edwards can knock it down. They get going, it's going to be tough. That's going to be a very tough team to beat if they're not able to guard the 3-point line. So that's number 1 is the Spurs have to make sure they're guard playing their perimeter defense. They're switching on screens. They're picking up. They're getting in the face of a lot of these Timberwolves. Right. I don't mind them driving to the basket because chances are you're going to have a 7'4" guy waiting for you at the basket and at the rim. So I'd rather than take away that 3-point opportunity, get them to the paint where they tend to clog up the paint and make it tough for the opponent. That's my first key. The other key is you have to control the bench and be better than Minnesota off the bench. Why does I say that? Because Keldon Johnson, one game he had 22 points against Minnesota. I believe another game he had, 15 points? So Keldon was really playing like his 6th man of the year title against Minnesota. So Minnesota, don't forget, they've got guys like Terrence Shannon that come in off the bench. They've got a great guard, and Mike Conley, who's been a veteran for so many years. Bones Highland is another guy that comes off the bench. So, and then if Ayu comes off the bench as well. So you got to think, the reason why I said they got to control the bench, they've got to be able to not have these guys come off the bench, put up numbers that they are capable of doing. We saw what Terrence Shannon did to the Denver Nuggets in game 7 or whatever, game six. Made it very difficult for Denver because it's like Terrence Shannon came out of nowhere, but Terrence Shannon's been one of the best players in the Minnesota roster for, quite some time now, for a couple of years. That's my two biggest keys right there, and those two. And the biggest one that I want to harp on is the bench play. Our bench has to be Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett. They've got to be better than Minnesota's bench, because if not, it's going to be super, super tough for San Antonio, and it's going to put a lot of wear and tear on the starters.
Yeah, exactly. I want to look at, one of the other big storylines is the French connection there, Gobert versus Wemby. Although unlikely they'll be matched up initially, you can expect maybe Naz Reid, maybe Julius Randle trying to check Wemby, but eventually they're going to get paired up. What do you make of what Rudy Gobert did to Joker? I don't think he can do that versus Wemby. Joker is not as mobile as Wemby. I think he has a clear advantage. Am I being too homer here? Or you think Gobert, considering how he played against Joker, can translate that into the series?
So the way he played against Joker, Rudy Gobert is one of the best defenders when it comes to guarding Nikola Jokic. And yeah, because Nikola is not a very fast player. He's a very, tactical type of player. One thing with Wemby is he's very quick on the perimeter. He can get to the basket. He can kind of blow right by you. But the thing that we've got to keep in mind too, and maybe where we all have to take off the homer hat, is Rudy Gobert is just as long as Victor Wembanyama. So if he gets beat to the basket, he can recover and make it difficult for Wemby at the basket. So I will say this much. He can't guard Wemby the way he guarded Nikola Jokic, but because he was number 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting, you best believe he's got a massive chip on his shoulder going into this.
He openly said it too. He openly admitted it. Yeah.
I mean, he has a huge chip on his shoulder when it comes to this series. So best believe you're going to probably get a good dose of DPOY when it comes to Rudy Gobert, and the reason why he's won past Defensive Players of the Years. Can he guard Wemby? Yes, he can guard Wemby. Can he guard him as good as Joker? No. Wemby is way too quick and way more ball handling skills than Jokic has. So it's going to be a good series, and that's probably why they won't match them up together right away. But you're right. You're going to see both of those guys guard each other eventually in the game.
Right. Yeah, obviously we're keeping an eye on the enemy, in this case, Minnesota. You're looking at what they're doing right now, entering tonight's game 1 before Dante went out with an injury and out for the rest of the year. And, of course, Anthony Edwards possibly playing tonight. Nevertheless, the Wolves coming in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players averaging double figures. Now you take away Dante, that's 5. And Edwards is 50-50 right now, but nevertheless, we'll just, for sake of argument, put him in. And it's actually not Anthony Edwards as leading the scoring punch for the Wolves this offseason. It's Ayo. It's him. He's averaging 21.8 points per game off 75% true shooting percentage. Effective field goal percentage at 70%. And he's giving you 3.2 fast break points. Not to say that Anthony Edwards is not a problem.
Yeah.
When he played tonight, he's averaging 18.5 points per game off a 48% true shooting percentage. Nevertheless, you got Julius Randle averaging 19.2 points per game. McDaniels, as you mentioned, 17.8. Naz Reid, about 11 points per game. And Gobert, speaking of him, 7.7 points per game. And giving you, 2.3 second chance points. So, it's not really just Anthony Edwards or nothing. This Minnesota team, would you say, is fairly deep?
Yeah. I mean, we just talked about their bench a little while ago. Their bench is key, and that's one of the keys to my game here, is that they've got to control the bench. I mean, you named a lot of guys. Now, without DiVincenzo, their defense does take a little bit of a hit, plus their offense as well. DiVincenzo can knock down the occasional 3. But you're talking about a very deep Minnesota team. Now, the Spurs probably have a deeper roster than Minnesota. They could probably easily go, I would say, at least 10, 11 players deep if they really need to in San Antonio. The one thing with with the Minnesota Timberwolves is that because you're out DiVincenzo, that bench kind of doesn't get as deep as it is. So you're going to have to start a guy maybe like Ayu. You may even start Mike Conley, may even get the start at point guard, which Conley's a very good veteran, but he's towards the back part of his career. So you would think a guy like De'Aaron Fox, should be able to take care of Conley and maybe have a decent game against him. But then you go Bones Highland, like I mentioned, Terrence Shannon, Naz Reid coming off. You also have Johnny Juzong as well. You got a lot of good guys. Spurs fans remember Rob Dillingham. I mean, even Rob is in there, but you've got a lot of good players on Minnesota's depth chart for the bench. It's put it this way. I think on paper the Spurs bench is better, but the only one we've seen is Dylan Harper have an impact in the last series, technically. And when it comes to Minnesota, their bench was spectacular against the Denver Nuggets. So that's why I said that's got to be a key. Our bench has to really rise to the occasion and prove why they are one of the best benches in the league.
Yeah, definitely. And just the impact of not having Dante on that roster, obviously good for San Antonio, but bad for Minnesota. Did you know during clutch situations for Minnesota during the playoffs, obviously that was against Denver, he was their leading scorer in clutch situation. He was averaging 7 points per game in clutch situations. That's heads over Shannon. That's over Randall. That's even over Anthony. That's over McDaniels. Yeah. And he had an effective field goal percentage shooting during clutch situations at 116.7. So they're definitely going to miss him. Hey, we're not done previewing tonight's Spurs Minnesota Game 1 West semis. When we get back, we got a few more topics to hit. What are our key players? Who do we like to spotlight heading into tonight's game, as well as predictions? You kind of forget about that. Coming up next right here in Spurs in Focus. All right, Rudy, I'm going to need of these 3 seasons with 8 episodes each of Iron Spur versus the T-Wolf. Think about that.
Can you even get 3 seasons in? That might be possible. You can, you know what? I'll tell you what. We can do, once the series is over, if it's 5 games, Spurs in 5, we can do 5 seasons, and each season is like game 1 is season 1, game 2 is season 2. We do something like that.
I had fun with AI, everybody. I had a lot of fun with AI.
Although you're more talented than I am. I can't do that.
No, have you seen Rudy's photos though? His graphic, like
photos,
graphics? Yeah. Those Rudy, I cannot. No, I can't. Like, is Rudy or that? No. I would be like the T-Wolf on the floor after Iron Spur. That's Rudy. We are back, everybody, previewing tonight's Game 1 Spurs-Wolves West semis. Begins tonight at the Frost. That guy you see on your screen, he is Mr. Rudy Campos with The Sports Answer. He's on X at The Sports Answer. Follow me on X as well at Jeff G Spurs Zone. All right, so we looked at how they got here. That's Spurs and the Wolves. All right, we looked at the injury report, how key that is. The chance that Minnesota's Edwards may play tonight. And obviously we looked at other key stats heading into tonight's game. But what about the players? Who are players to watch? Mr. Campos, take us off, man. Who is your player to watch tonight?
Okay, so my player to watch is actually our 6th man of the year. Keldon Johnson is my player to watch. The struggles we saw, in the Portland series were very concerning. You saw a lot of chatter among Spurs fans, and you saw, some people even in the media were questioning, well, why is he 6th man of the year? I mean, he's not really playing up the 6th man of the year bar. And I get it. Like I mentioned on Spurs in Focus, it's probably a matchup problem. That was the first thing I pointed to, is it's probably matchup. Didn't match up really well. He's been able to match up against Minnesota a lot better this season than he did Portland. So that's my player to watch. Coming in off the bench, again, earlier I said that the Spurs need to win the bench game, and that's who it's going to start with. Not just Dylan Harper. It's going to mainly be Keldon. There's a reason why he is the NBA 6th man of the year. He's my player to watch. I expect him to actually come out in game 1 tonight and just really take it to Minnesota. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends the game with around 17, 18 points, kind of make up for that first series. But yeah, he's my player to watch, and I expect him to do really good tonight.
Yeah, so far, not very sixth man of the year stats through 5 games played in the postseason. 6.2 points per game off the bench for San Antonio, 4.4 rebounds, 1.4 assists. Now, he's doing that in 18 minutes, but nevertheless, he needs a little bit of an uptick. The Spurs can definitely use his punch off the bench. What I'm really surprised about, Rudy, is inside the 3-point line, so just anywhere in the 2-point range, he's shooting 28%.
Yeah, it's bad.
28% from inside the 3 line right now. And I find it fascinating. He's only attempted 2 3-pointers in the postseason, and he's only made 1. Yeah, he definitely needs to get an uptick in production if the Spurs have a chance to win. But you just look overall and just like the losing Dante hurts Minnesota so much. And the Spurs need to take advantage of the deeper bench that they have. And it starts with Keldon. Do you think we're going to see another matchup situation for Keldon versus the bigs, the big guys, the big forwards, the bigs that Minnesota has?
I think what the reason why Keldon may have struggled against Portland was when I said the matchup, you were talking about a guy like Jeremy Grant. You were talking about guys like Matisse Thybulle, guys like that. Defensive-minded guys that were able to get up in your face. And Portland does a really good job of switching. So made it a little bit tougher for a guy like Keldon, who's not a guard. He just kind of barrels his way to the basket to get his points. Made it a little tough for him. Portland's a real chippy team. And the same thing with Minnesota. They're a real good defense. They're a really good defensive team. But, Julius Randle's not exactly a great defender. Jaden McDaniels is going to have his handful when it comes to maybe De'Aaron Fox or possibly Stephon Castle. Same thing with Anthony Edwards. So I think that's why Keldon's matchup with Minnesota is a lot better. Naz Reid he's a good defender, but again, not one that I think would give Keldon a whole lot of issues. So defensively, Minnesota, as good as they are defensively, I think when it comes to a player like Keldon Johnson, they have a tough time with his type of player, which is getting to the basket and getting and ones, making it very difficult for Minnesota. So I think this matchup is a lot better for him.
Yeah, the last 5 games versus Minnesota, Keldon Johnson, 16.6 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 1.2 assists, again, in the last 5 outings versus Minnesota. So he doesn't do terrible versus Minnesota, but hopefully he'll see those jerseys on that side of the court and be like, oh, time to shine. And I think he himself knows he has to up his game because, 1, the Spurs need him, and then 2, I think he wants to erase the taste of what happened in the first series. He played okay. He played good. It just wasn't what we expected out of Keldon. For me, the player that I'm watching is this guy, De'Aaron Fox.
I left him for you. I knew you were going to go that way.
He really did me a gift there. Coming off a couple of games where he pretty much saved the Spurs' asses. Let's be honest. He did. If it wasn't for him, the Spurs are probably maybe having a game 6 or a game 7 versus Portland. But I need to see if he's going to carry that over into this series. And he loves playing Minnesota. You want to know his stats in the last 5 games, everybody? Versus the T-Wolves, 22 points per game, 6.2 assists, 4.6 rebounds, again, in the last 5 games versus the Timber Puppies there. And he is just a menace for Minnesota. Did he drop 60 points on them in his career?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't remember.
Conley, too. So he loves playing against Minnesota. So I got him as my player to watch for San Antonio. And you would also need him too. The stakes have gone up. These younger players, they're going to get their first taste. Well, technically so is him. He for the first time in his career, he's advanced out of the first round. So he's kind of a rookie, quote unquote, in semifinals action. But nevertheless, I have no doubt that this guy, De'Aaron Fox, is going to maintain that high level. He is exactly what the Spurs have been needing from him during this postseason run, especially in the closeout games versus Blazers. What do you think about Fox as a player to watch?
Absolutely. He's definitely a player to watch, player that you want to circle. Devastating, one of the guys that a lot of people point to when the Spurs do bad and lose. And you're right. I mean, without those fourth quarters that he had against Portland, they're probably looking at a game 6, maybe 7. He definitely is built, like I said, because of no Dante DiVincenzo. I mean, he's going to probably draw Jaden McDaniels or maybe an Anthony Edwards type of matchup. But the good thing about it is because Devin Vassell has been playing, decent basketball, and Julian Champagne shot the lights out, that last game against Portland for a while there. Those guys may be more concerned with them, leaving him with possibility of being up on Mike Conley. And that's where I think he needs to really, really shine as against Mike Conley. Just kind of take it to him. If he goes 1v1, fine, run a lot of pick and rolls with a bunch of guys. What I would love to see, Jeff, when it comes to De'Aaron Fox, is if Mike Conley is guarding him, put the ball in Stephon Castle's hand, maybe Devin Vassell's hand. Have De'Aaron Fox be all coming off screens. Just have Mike Conley work for it. Work on that defensive side. I think it'll open a lot more doors for De'Aaron Fox. May even see a De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper backcourt at one point. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely a key. He's definitely a player to watch. I fully expect him to have another good game against Minnesota tonight.
Yeah. This is how important he is. So again, we understand it was just 5-game sample size of the Blazers series, but in the first half, in all 5 games versus the Blazers, De'Aaron Fox, his plus minus was a 0. But get this, in the second half, so periods 3 and 4, he was a plus 10.6. So he ups his game when it counts, and that's money time. Looking at the fourth period through 5 games in the NBA playoffs, 7.8 points per game in the final frame. He averages 1.4 assists in 10 minutes in that fourth period. He also connects on 71% of his 2-point attempts in the fourth period. So he's definitely a vital guy for San Antonio. Obviously Wemby's an easy one to get, but I think Wemby's going to Wemby. He's going to be fine. Castle, I think he's going to be fine. Or is he? I want to bring this up to you. Kind of, I hit this on purpose from the rundown. But do you think Castle could have problems against the big guards that Minnesota has? And you're looking at Randall, you're looking at McDaniels. How do you feel Castle's going to do?
So if we go to the regular season, you haven't given me any stats, but he's only averaging, I think, 9.5 points per game against Minnesota in these 3 games. He only played 2 of them. He was out, I think, in the first game, but in those 2 games, he only averaged 9.5. He scored 11 points. He scored 8 points in that last game. The struggles could be there for Stephon Castle again, but that is with a guy like Dante DiVincenzo. They do have Jaden McDaniels. These guys are a step above what they faced against Portland. These guys are way better defenders. So taking Dante out helps Stephon a little bit more, but Jaden McDaniels, as you saw, he's not as scared of the smoke. He's not afraid to say what he's going to say. He's going to play some physical defense on Stephon Castle if he's guarding him. So he could potentially struggle against Minnesota like he has. I don't expect it to struggle. The part that I see him having difficulty is if he's guarding Anthony Edwards, you're probably looking at early foul trouble when it comes to Stephon Castle. So that's where I think he needs to really concentrate the most. Is I get it. You want to body Edwards. You want to make it tough for him. But there was a game, I think it was game 5 against Portland, where we saw a lot of ticky-tack fouls by Stephon Castle. Not going to be able to get away with that when it comes to Minnesota. When if you foul out or have 5 fouls and you still got maybe a whole quarter left, that's going to really handicap the Spurs. So I think I'm more concerned with him being in foul trouble if he's guarding Anthony Edwards than I am, struggling point-wise. But again, is there a cause for concern? Yeah, there's a little cause for concern with Stephon Castle against Minnesota because he has struggled recently against them. And also, like I said, if he's guarding Anthony Edwards, could be a long night for him too.
Yeah, and now in the last 2 games, you were right. Castle is averaging 9.5 points per game, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Again, in the last 2 games versus Timberwolves. But if we expand it out a little bit more, let's just take the last 5 games that Castle has played. Not too great. 8.2 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 4.2 rebounds in the last 5 outings that he has played versus Timberwolves.
He's always struggled against Minnesota. Always.
Well, his best game in the last last 5 versus Minnesota, he had a night where he went 28 minutes, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. But that was back on March 9th, 2025. So that was a really, really solid game versus them. He had an offer versus Minnesota back in December 29th, 2024. And then his most recent game, which was on January 17th, 2026, 28 minutes, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, though, and 3 steals. So I guess he did a little bit of everything, but still not the Stephon Castle powerhouse that we see on the court game in and game out. So keep an eye on Castle for sure. But look, we can go on and on in this episode, but we got to cut it short at some point. But we've been talking, all right? We got to hear from you. Who is your player to watch? What are some keys to the game? I gave you my 3. Rudy gave you his. We gave you our player to watch, and so on and so forth. We got to hear from you. You can let Rudy know on X at the Sports Answer. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. It's about that time, Rudy, where we put it out there. Who's going to take game 1?
Okay.
All right, Mr. Rudy Campos, who you got tonight?
Definitely taking San Antonio tonight. I'm taking them to win game 1. They've got the rest. Minnesota's coming off a very difficult series against Denver.
Yep.
A very physical series against Denver, and they did get some rest. But nonetheless, I think San Antonio is going to come out. They're going to be fresh. I fully expect San Antonio to come out on a fast pace, maybe out to maybe a good 6-7 point lead, and then I kind of think they're going to blow them away, blow up at the end of the game.
Oh, a game already. Look at Rudy.
Well, for me, playoff, when I say a blowout game, I'm talking maybe 12 points, 11 points. I don't expect it to be like 20-something point blowout. It's not going to be Portland or anything, but I fully expect them to win by at least 10 or 11 tonight. So give me the Spurs for game 1, only because that was a very difficult series for Denver and Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna go with the Spurs tonight. But you know what? Before I give you why, but just real quick, does anything change for you if Edwards does play tonight, or are you still picking the Spurs, or a closer gap maybe?
No, I mean maybe it's an 8-point win.
Okay.
I think if Edwards plays, it's going to be more difficult. But you got to remember, you're only getting maybe 60% Anthony Edwards, 70% Anthony Edwards. You're not getting a full healthy Anthony Edwards. So when you have a knee problem like that, Jeff, jump shots tend to not fall very often. You come up a little bit short because you're not jumping as high. So a lot of stuff could happen. But, I mean, for all we know, Anthony Edwards may be, the $6 million man. He's going to have these bionic powers. Right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. So
you better not get the force tonight. That's for sure.
Definitely not, right?
No. I don't need him levitating using the force powers tonight to dunk on Wemby. Remember, he told me he wants to try to dunk on Wemby during the regular season. He said, yeah, I'm going to try. I would love for him to try. I just want to see it. I just want to see an attempt.
I would have bigger goals and just try to dunk on Victor Wembanyama, to be honest with you. But yeah, if that's one of your goals, then so be it.
Yeah, I'm going with San Antonio tonight. Home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's healthy except for Carter Bryant. Now they may hurt the Spurs defensively, if anything, but I think the Spurs could weather the storm without Carter Bryant if he's out for sure. As of right now, he's questionable.
Yeah,
but I look at just the tail of the tape. Center position, I give it a Wemby. The guard trios and the guard core. It's the Spurs. They don't have Dante. The Minnesota. They could not have Edwards tonight. So clear advantage Spurs with Fox, Harper, and Castle. You got other young guns like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. That's the guy that Reed's expecting a big game from. I think the Spurs, they're lucky. Dante got hurt, and as of now, Edwards may or may not play. And I think they can take advantage of that. I think it would have hurt the Spurs if they dropped this game tonight, go down 0-1. That's just giving life to Minnesota. I mean, you're saying, look, we could beat this team without possibly Edwards and for sure without Dante. We don't need those big guns out there. We have enough with Randall and McDaniels and Rudy Gobert, and the list goes on and on. Ayo, you don't want to give this team life, but the thing about it, although they're not Denver, like this, we keep forgetting this is an experienced playoff team the Spurs are dealing with. Mm-hmm. I think people forget about that with Minnesota. You don't. You keep on telling everybody this is a team that's gone to conference finals over and over.
Yeah, this is be
They
their
know
third
what
in a
it
row.
is to win. Yeah.
Yeah, so this will be their third in a row. If they beat the Spurs,
Yeah.
they're back. They're three-peating in the Western Conference Finals. I mean,
Yeah.
they've already been there. They've already been battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
And, unlike what we said about Portland, where Portland was inexperienced, just like San Antonio, that's why it was the perfect spot for San Antonio to fall against Portland and play them. They got the experience. But now the Spurs fans got to realize, Jeff, is that now the playoffs start for San Antonio, because now you've got a team that's already been there, that's already been, to that conference finals. They are hungry to get to an NBA final after falling short the past 2 seasons. They are dying to get to an NBA final. So this is a team where, if you're looking at Minnesota and Denver, of course, I had Denver winning the NBA title, but Minnesota is not a team. I made it clear at the beginning of the playoffs, the NBA champion is going to come out of this series, of this part of the bracket. So it's either going to be San Antonio, Denver, or Minnesota. Whichever team comes out of this part of the bracket, I really expect is going to win the title this year.
Yeah. Yeah. You could almost, you still, the Thunder are still a thing.
I have not, and I've said, there's something about the Thunder this season that I just don't completely buy into. I really don't. Jalen Williams is injured. The Thunder have looked dominant, but if you really look closely, the teams that they struggled against have been able to play physical back with them. And that's all that's left in the playoffs, is teams that are going to be super physical.
Yeah. I don't see the Lakers giving them any burn.
No.
Yeah, at all. Maybe if Luka comes back, maybe they might get a game, but not even that. I just think Thunder are just too. Anyway,
they'll get one. They'll get one.
They'll get one. But yeah. All right. So you have it. Rudy and I, we're going to go with Spurs getting the W tonight at the Frost, taking a 1-0 lead early in the series. It's a long one. I'm expecting this to go at least 6 minimum, especially if Edwards does come back sooner than later. He changes things, a lot of things. You break the Vegas line. You're betting. Watch out for that Vegas line if he comes back or not. So keep that in mind. But what do y'all think about tonight's game? Who do you have with the W? Wolves? Spurs? Let us know. Let Rudy know on X at The Sports Answer. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Rudy, you guys must be busy at the answer right now.
Yeah, we are. Myself and Derek have the Friday drive. Let me give a quick shout out to Box Score Studio. That's kind of been not on the back burner, but we've been using that for more of our production type stuff. That's going to get some more run as far as podcasting goes. So we're going to be doing more streaming on Box Score Studio on YouTube. Plus you've got, the Sports Answer on YouTube as well. You'll catch Spurs In Focus. So we've got a whole lot going on right now. You can't miss us. Just follow us everywhere on YouTube and social media.
That's what you got to do. Follow him on X at The Sports Answer. Big, large chance Rudy's going to be back later this week. So we can't forget about it.
A Jabba the Hutt size chance that I'll be back.
I'm telling you, what is wrong with being Jabba? I mean, you don't have to work out. You can just relax. He gets to smoke a pipe all day. He gets little appetizers, the frogs, but they're there for him. You get the ladies. You have ladies with you.
Would you? Okay, Jabba's not super bad, but what about a guy like Lando Calrissian?
That's a good one. I
mean,
First Order of the Falcon.
You've got Cloud City is like all yours, basically. Yeah. I mean, but could Jeff Garcia as Lando Calrissian turn his back on Rudy Campos as Han Solo? I don't know if Jeff's able to. I don't know if you have that bad.
I think I'd be like trying to give you signals before you land on the port. I mean, man, it's pretty hot out here in Cloud City right now. Man, it's red hot. Like, man, it's glowing red hot out here. If he's doing stuff like that, like, get the hint, Rudy. Get the hint.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot there because it's May the 4th, and I want you to really, since we're at the end of the show here, and you kind of like to nerd out a little bit. If you had to take the San Antonio Spurs playoff run and make it into a Star Wars theme, like a movie title, what would it be? I mean, people have said you can say The New Hope, but I mean, I want to see if there's a classic.
Easy. Yeah, that's too easy. That's too easy.
I don't have one. That's why I'm asking you.
Let's see. So, like, would it be like a title with all the words kind of sprawl across the?
Or no, I mean, like you have Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars. Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at here, because
this is a good one.
You had the great films like The Force Awakens and all that stuff. So, which I know you hate. I'm just giving you crap
I can't
about
stand those. Yeah.
but I mean, it's that actually. I'll tell you what.
How about this?
Maybe
The Rise of the Spurs.
You can go with that. You can go with that.
I'll go with that one.
Rise of the Spurs. You can maybe do, Rise of the Silver and Black. I mean,
Silver Black was a good one.
That's a good one. Sheesh, man.
This was tough.
How about the Wembalorian?
The Wembalorian, yeah. You could be Grogu.
Okay, everybody's Grogu compared to Wembalorian, man.
That's a good point, yeah. I get tripped out when I'm in the locker room or sidelines and I see like guys like Olynyk or Vassell, like they look up to Wemby,
Yeah.
Like I wonder, they're like, I'm like, now you know how we feel when we talk to y'all. Now y'all get it. But I always get a kick out of that. All right, but there you have it. All right, so we're done talking. We got to hear from you. Again, follow him on X, Mr. Rudy Campos at The Sports Answer. Follow me on X at Jeff G. Spurs. And don't forget about the Substack, completely free. Just go there, hit subscribe. You're part of the crew. Again, you don't get charged a dime. 100% free. Go there right now. And also don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Music. You will find Spurs in Focus everywhere where you find your favorite podcast. We should be back tomorrow. Still chasing a guest, but we'll get some wrap up after game one is over. But for Mr. Rudy the Mandalorian Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. Now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.